Devon Sawa. Wherever this is your time. The lower chair, the higher chair, work the audience. This is whatever you want this Q&A to be. Tell a few stories, take questions, whatever you're comfortable with.
I'm going to go right to questions and spend all my time with the answers, if that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean.
And by the way, thank you for coming out here and doing this.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
This your first time here?
Not in Pittsburgh, but to this con, yeah.
Awesome.
I did a movie here 10 years ago, so I got to spend a little time in Pittsburgh. But this is my first time at a non-horror con, first of all. So it's nice to not see a bunch of Pennywise and whatnot. Like it's a good change.
It's a good mix
for once. So yeah. It's good to be here.
Great. Then let's start with the questions. Raise your hand. We'll come around. And who's got one off the bat? They're right down front.
How was your experience working with John Travolta on that movie, The Fanatic?
Yeah. So I got to work with John Travolta twice. And the first time I did this movie called Life on the Line, which was a movie about electrical line workers. And I got to work with John Travolta. Like, he came to set as John Travolta. He did his scenes as his character, whatnot. But it was John Travolta. It's clearly John Travolta that I was working with. On The Fanatic, he wanted to become the character of Moose. And so he would show up every day in his getup, in his Moose getup, already in hair and makeup. And everybody was told that they had to address him as Moose. Everybody from the grips to catering to myself, director, everybody, we all had to talk to him as Moose. And when we weren't shooting, he would sit in his chair and he would kind of rock back and forth. And he really went for it. And it was nice that I had worked on the first one with him and that I got to see him as John, and because he was a wacko on that movie in a great way. He was just trying to stay in it, and he was really going for it, and yeah. So it was awesome. I mean, the first movie I did, him and Kate Bosworth got into this whole Grease number on set, and he's just a fantastic guy, and I talk to him all the time still, so he really is a sweetheart.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, could you hold the mic?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Thank you so much.
Oh, is it no one can hear me in the back? Okay.
You have to repeat that entire
I'm going to repeat
again.
the whole story again. This is it. So John Travolta.
So, and what was just a question to keep going with that film? Working with Fred Durst, what was it like working with a non-director, like a musician going into a director?
So if you're familiar with Fred Durst and Limp Bizkit, that's kind of the energy he has on set, kind of that just that rolling, that just crazy. He's got that vibe going on set. And so between John Travolta playing Moose and Fred Durst just going, keep it rolling, roll. It was a weird world. It was a weird world.
So it's a lot different than most directors you've worked with?
Yeah, he had a different energy than most directors. He definitely came from the rock and roll scene, and you felt a lot of that. Which is why I did, working with Fred was such a great experience that I got a call and they said this other rock star would like you in his movie. His name is Glenn Danzig, and we'd like you to do a movie with him. What do you think? I'm like, sure. I had such a great time working with Fred. I went off and did this movie with Glenn Danzig, and it was a little bit different of an experience, but still just as interesting.
What was the film with Danzig?
It was what's the name of it? Anybody? Death Rider. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Death Rider.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's come out sorta. It's come out in Glenn's backyard, but that's it.
And he was pretty much the same way to work with, or a little.
No, he's a different beast altogether.
More serious, no doubt.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. So you got an early start in acting.
I did. Yeah, I started at around 8 or 9 years old.
And was it your idea to do this, or?
No, I was. I had a teacher that. Thought she was punishing me. She said if I wanted to be the center of attention and the class clown, that maybe I should join the theater. And so my parents thought it was a great idea. As punishment, they put me in this small theater performance company, and I just fell in love with it. And they had an agency, and I started doing commercials and TV shows. And when I was about 14, they did this nationwide casting call, and I put myself on VHS tape for the part of Casper. and that tape landed on the right desk at the right time, and the rest is history. That kind of I went down and I met with Christina and Steven Spielberg and Brad, the director, and it just started rolling from there.
Yeah, what was the premiere like that? Seeing something like that.
It was for a young Canadian kid. Back in like the early '90s, Hollywood was very foreign. It was like it was just extravagant and City Walk, and I don't know if anybody's familiar with City Walk in Hollywood. It was brand new, and it was just lights and neon, and it was very different from where I'm from a small hockey town. So it was crazy. It was surreal.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, we can get back to your questions. What else you got? We got one down front here.
Hello.
Hello.
With all the films that you've made, I want to know what one is your favorite for experience-wise and why?
So that changes all the time. Idle Hands is the most fun I ever had on set. As being around, Seth Green and Jessica and all the people that were on that show was just, it felt like being at summer camp. I feel like it was the last movie I did as a kid, as a teenager, where we just showed up and had a good time and joked about smoking weed and there was buckets of blood and, guy with a bottle in his head. I just remember laughing. It was just a lot of fun. Recently, this movie I did, Hunter x Hunter, had no budget at all. We went into the woods in Winnipeg, Manitoba, in Canada, and it was just a small crew and a small cast, and we all shot it for no money, and it was just a great experience. And the movie turned out really well, and people really like it. And so that's my favorite of recent. And then obviously I'm having a blast with Chucky. So. Yeah. So
you think that the roles you had really prepared you for later on, like the early roles, just kind of more of a natural growth into your?
No, it was. I felt like I was always trying to change things because I did Casper, and then I didn't really have a lot of guidance. I didn't have a great agent at the time or a publicist, and so I landed in those teen magazines. And I mean, I can't really knock them too much because I am where I am because of them. But it's really hard to do certain roles when you're in those teen magazines. You're not getting certain roles, or certain roles are not going to look at you for. So then I felt like I had to rebel against the teen magazines and do stuff like the Stand video and SLC Punk and Idle Hands and do whatever I could. As a kind of fuck you to the teen magazines, I wanted to be taken a little. I wanted to go a different way, and then you find yourself transitioning again. And I was going to Young Cop, Young Lawyer. I did this show called Nikita for a few years, and now I'm kind of transitioning into like the dads and the those kind of roles. So it's always evolving, and nothing's really preparing you. It's just kind of there's no handbook for this thing.
Right, but it's just nice to see someone who starts out early actually have their career
survive.
Survive is a good word.
Yeah, I have been lucky so far.
Let's grab some more questions. Who's got one? We got one down here.
Hi.
Hey.
During Idle Hands, Final Destination,
Yeah.
I was wondering if you developed any superstitions or paranoias.
You start thinking about it a lot more, especially during the shooting of the movie. I think that when we shot the movie, I don't think the cast really knew the genius behind the two directors. It was James Wong was the director, and Glenn Morgan, his partner, was the producer, but they really kind of directed it together because Glenn ended up doing number 3. But we didn't really understand a lot that was going on. Like they were just shooting stuff, and you didn't realize until they put it on film and you watch it for the first time, and that's when all the water going down and then you really started thinking about that kind of stuff but I didn't really develop any superstitions after that. We thought about it briefly after for a while, but that's it. I'm not afraid of planes. I still get on plane. I got on a plane with Tony Todd. We sat right next to each other. I was like, "Hey, bud, we're gonna be okay."
All right, next question. Just raise your hand. We'll come around right over there. Doug, second row. Right there.
I got my glasses on and I can't see. Okay, hello.
Hello.
Hey, you were on Magnum PI recently.
I was.
I was so sad to see that your character.
Yeah.
It was because I was so excited when I saw your name and credits.
Thank you.
And then boom. But could you say anything behind the scenes or anything that happened being in Hawaii, or you enjoyed?
Sure. Yeah. No.
shoots?
That suit. I did this show called Nikita for 4 or 5 years, and a lot of the directors and writers went off to do. That's the same production team that does Magnum PI, Hawaii Five-0, and MacGyver. And I did all 3 of those shows because that's where a lot of the Nikita people that show ended, and those shows started up, and so I just ended up going as favors to these different directors. The Hawaii Five-0 guys are awesome. The Magnum PI crew is they're phenomenal. It's first of all, like they fly you to Hawaii, you work a day, you get like 10 days off, you work a day, you get 10 days off. It's kind of a no-brainer. And then it's top writers, top directors. The cast is phenomenal people, and they're all friends. Yeah, they're all friends. I went to I hung out with them. We went to a barbecue. We watched a little football. It's a good time. For sure. Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. Who do we got next? Right in the back, of course. That's all right. We'll get you. Oh, there we go. Thank you.
So you started acting very young. I'm just wondering, did you like ever miss, as somebody who wants to like be in the entertainment industry, did you ever miss out? Did you ever feel like you missed out on a quote unquote normal life?
Yeah, I did.
Can you like maybe elaborate on that a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. So it's kind of a catch-22 because I didn't go to prom. I didn't go to school dances. I had to quit. I was doing really well in soccer, and I had to make a choice on whether I wanted to act or continue on that, and I decided to act. So I missed out on a lot of that stuff, but at the same time, I was making movies. I worked in Savannah, Georgia. I worked in Calgary. I worked in California. I mean, I got to meet all these wonderful people. I was introduced to a variety of different people at a very early age, whether it was the LGBTQ community or people of different religions. And so I learned very quickly about equality as a young child. So I gained things, and I did lose. I didn't go. I don't think that I ever really care that I missed prom. I didn't have to go through not being invited by somebody or having to ask somebody or not getting in the limo or whatever I don't know if I really miss it. I got to do other stuff. So yeah, I lost out, but I gained a whole bunch of other cool stuff. If that makes any sense. Yeah.
And working early on, were there any actors that you looked up to? I'd like to be like this actor. This actor's an inspiration.
Yeah, definitely the usual suspects, the De Niro's, the Hoffmans, the Pacinos. When I was about 14 or 15, Christina Ricci and I, when we were on Now and Then, we went and saw Pulp Fiction a gazillion times over the summer while we were shooting that film, and that's when I first realized there was more to this whole acting thing, and I started watching, The Rain Man and The Scent of the Woman and all these movies with these older actors, and that's what I wanted to do. Jack Nicholson, all these cool older actors that I really looked up to.
So you think you want to pursue more serious things, more fun things? Where do you see your career going? What are you looking for at the next step?
My next transition, which I'm trying to do is and I did a little bit on Chucky, is I'm trying to move into the character world. I'm trying to alter my image a little bit more. I'm trying to play different roles that are not me. Whether it's prosthetics or wigs or whatever it is, someone I really look up to is Gary Oldman. He's a genius at where he started to go and how he just plays these variety of different characters, and so I'd like to do something like that. That's where I'd like to go. I'm hopefully doing it. I'm started with Chucky, and we'll see.
All right, let's get some more. We've got a question down the middle.
Hi there. With
Hey.
all these different superhero movies, is there a superhero that you wouldn't mind trying to tackle?
Oh man.
Or villain.
It's so crazy because I've really pushed away from the superhero thing. I mean, I try to do stuff that I like to watch, and for some reason, I don't know. There's only certain superhero movies I like. Like I like Logan. I like Deadpool. I like. I'm not really into the Marvel stuff. So I think I would play more of the dark stuff if I had a chance. I love the Batman stuff. I'm really into that world. I think I could see myself falling into that world. I would love to be a villain. I would love to be, we'll see.
All right, and a couple more. Oh, right over here.
So I was wondering, when you got hired for Chucky, was it from the start that they told you you'd be playing like two characters, or did you go in assuming you were just going to be one character?
No, I auditioned for the role, and Don Mancini talks about it all the time that we do this thing when we put ourselves on tape. It's called a slate, where we basically we just say our name, our height, where we're from, and our age or whatever. But I got into this like 20-minute spiel about the difference between these two twins and how I was going to make Lucas, because he's a little bit of a, they went on different paths. One twin is highly successful and he stands upright, and he has a suit, and he just has a more of a present, where the other one is an alcoholic and he's more broken down and he's kind of a hunch to him. And I talked a lot about the different characters. And then when you get to set and you get into the coveralls and they put the goatee on me, and it just all starts to fall into place, So there was definitely a lot of thought between the differences between the two characters. No.
After doing something like that, do you have trouble getting out of a character?
No, I think fortunately I can go to set, put it on, and then when we finish the day, I go home and I'm fine. Like I don't, you hear these stories about Jared Leto, and that's great. It works for him. I don't think I don't feel like it's necessary to go to the bathroom in a wheelchair because you're in character. I don't know, whatever. Do what you got to do, but like fortunately for me, I can just turn it off and on. I will spend like a little time before. I do a little bit of feedback.
What do we got here? Okay. We lost, hang on a sec. No, we're good. Let me just take care of this. There we go. No problems. All right. Yeah, we just had some extra speakers kick in the back.
Okay. Oh, you're turning me up.
A little bit.
All right. Sorry.
All right. Let's get a couple more questions. Right there and right there.
And your question, sir. If you've seen the other Final Destination movies, what was your favorite opening death scene, like the bridge, the roller coaster? And if you haven't seen them, what was your favorite death from the first movie?
I've seen all the movies. 5 is my favorite for a couple reasons. First of all, it's the first time they used 3D in the films, and I think it was used beautifully on the bridge stuff. And also, I didn't know that I was going to be in it, and I was invited to the premiere, and I got right till the end, and famously they spliced the first one and the fifth one together, and so I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, the new cast walks down the aisle past the old cast, and it was surprising and exciting, and so yeah, it was great.
All right. What else we got? Any other questions? Right in the corner, right down there.
Do you have a good story about Little Giants?
Do I have a good story about Little Giants? Little Giants was, first of all, I'm like Canadian, so they put a Canadian kid in a football movie, which was a whole other thing. They had multiple coaches around me trying to teach me the basics of football. I mean, I knew how to play a little bit of football, but these kids that I was surrounded with were legit football players. And so I remember, it took a while for me to get into that. Rick Moranis is amazing. Ed O'Neill is everything you'd hope he would be. Again, it was just a lot of fun to shoot. We had, I don't know if you remember in the stadium when we were shooting the end scene, there's like a McDonald's and a Slush Puppies and like all those were going the whole time, and we were able to eat McDonald's whenever we wanted and slush puppies, and it was 13-year-old kids, and we had the full reign of these concession stands.
All right, what else we got? And any other questions? Right back there and right down there. We got 2 in a row. Come on out.
Raise your hand so I can see you.
There we go. And you got another, there's someone else with a question too. Just come on out.
Hi.
Hello.
What was your favorite scene to shoot in Slackers?
Slackers. Again, Slackers is like Idle Hands. That was Jason Schwartzman comes to set and keeps you laughing the whole entire time he's there. The whole thing was fun. I think everything with Jason Schwartzman in it, because he didn't stick to script. He would come and he would just improvise. The hair doll thing came out of nowhere. That song that he sings on the piano came out of nowhere. It's just he just was full of surprises. Yeah. Feedback is killing me.
Other question back here?
Yeah, there was someone else raised their hand back there. I guess they changed their mind.
Here we go.
We'll get you next.
Sorry, my daughter was asking, what was your first role?
What was my first role?
Yeah.
The first role I did, I was fired from. It was a Batman toy commercial, and my job was to take this Batman and put it on top of a mark and in the light. And I remember it very vividly because I couldn't do it. I kept doing it, and finally the director yelled "cut," and they said thank you very much. And as I got up to walk out, another kid walked right past me onto the same mark, and you could tell he was about to do the same thing. And so that was my first ever introduction to Hollywood. But I kept going. So,
question right here.
I want to ask you real quick, who's your favorite hockey team?
Well, until I moved to Los Angeles, it was the Vancouver Canucks. Probably still is. You move to Los Angeles, you kind of fall off the whole hockey thing, but I would still say Vancouver. What? You Penguins fan? Okay. you wanted me to say Penguins, didn't you? Vancouver. You mean Penguins? Penguins. Big Pittsburgh fan.
Yeah, there you go.
And Flyers. I like the Flyers. Second choice Flyers.
Sorry.
It was like an hour drive?
Something like that.
4
hours. Okay, let's get a non-sports question right over here.
Where do you hear my Steelers opinions? Big Rams fan.
Matthew Lillard was here just recently. What was it like working with him?
He's awesome. I haven't worked with anybody bad, I don't think. Matthew Lillard is so talented. I don't know what else to say. He's talented. He's funny. He's a good dude. Yeah, he's a great guy. Everything about him. Nice.
Yeah. We have two questions on the far side
over here,
and then we'll kind of start wrapping. You're headed back to your table to sign after this.
Yeah.
Devon?
Yeah.
Good. So keep that in mind. If you didn't have a chance for a question now, he's going to be headed back.
All right. Question right here.
Hi, my name is John. As an aspiring actor, what advice would you give?
Train. Acting is all about training. It's like some actors don't look at it like an athlete, but it really is. When you're not in the game, you should be at practice. You should be training, and then there's also you have to find the right training. Like not every training is going to be the type of training for you. Like just because one acting school is big, it might not be the acting school for you. It might not be your style, and you have to go out and try different places. But training is the most important thing. So.
And then another question right here.
Hi, I'm Jordan. What's your favorite actor that you act with, like in your movies?
My favorite that I've worked with?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I recently worked with Jean Smart, and she was phenomenal. And phenomenal. She's just phenomenal. And Travolta's amazing. I did one of the best things that I've done, just because it was nostalgic, was I did a fight scene with Sylvester Stallone in a prison cell, a concrete prison cell, where I learned this fight scene with the John Wick fight team. But when Stallone got there, he wanted to improv it. He didn't want to do a choreographed fight scene. He wanted to just go in there and fight. And I'm like, okay. And so like it was, and I remember after the first take, he stops and goes, hey, you remember in Rocky 2 when I had him up against the ropes? And I was like, oh my God, Sylvester Stallone is talking about Rocky 2 to me. And that's one of the best things that I'd ever done. It was just like, the childhood in me was just like, I was all about it. It was like, yeah, Rocky 2 up against the ropes, let's do it.
And let's grab 2 more questions. And don't forget, right in the back, I got one here, I'll get this one. He's headed back to his table to sign after this. There you go.
So you started out young. How did you get from Canada to LA?
I did the nationwide search for Casper, where we were like everybody, there was tons of people, and I forgot about it. And 2 weeks later, I got a call from my agent saying Spielberg would like you to fly down to Los Angeles and meet with him on Casper. And they like booked me a first class ticket and like a hotel room at the Hilton, and like it was that was it. I wasn't looking back. I was going for the gold at that point. So yeah.
We got one last question over here to the right.
Hi, you really do come off as an amazing parent, and I was curious whether your career, how does it affect you as a parent, positively or negatively?
I don't know yet. First of all, my kids don't see anything that I do. I caught my kid telling a bunch of other people that I was Casper one time. He's like 8 years old, and I was like, yeah, you don't need to do that. How does it affect me as a parent? It hasn't yet, luckily. Well, actually, last year, because of the pandemic, I had to make a decision. I got the part of Chucky, and they said, well, you can do it, but you have to fly to Toronto and you have to stay there. And so I was away from them for 6 months, and we kind of just did Zoom calls for 6 months. But I think we got through it. I don't know if it really affects me as a parent. I don't think yet.
These things seems like a big deal. I think that's really cool.
What's that?
You were still able to keep in contact via Zoom and still work the career. That's a really good balance you have.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, last call for last question, if possible. If not, Devon is headed back to his table to sign and hang out. He's got photo ops coming up. Any final things?
No, thank you all for listening to me, I guess.
Thank you so much. Welcome back to Pittsburgh.
Thanks, guys.
Give it up, Devon Sawa. Thank you.
This is John Glover, and you are watching Fandom Spotlight. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Lionel Luther recommends it. Have some fun. Follow your fandom.